The Hero's Welcome. The date is June 29, 1971. High above the atmosphere, the Soviet spacecraft Soyuz 11 is preparing to come home. On board are three national heroes: Commander Georgy Dobrovolsky, Flight Engineer Vladislav Volkov, and Test Engineer Viktor Patsayev. They have just spent 23 days aboard Salyut 1, the world's first space station. They are tired, their muscles are weak from zero gravity, but they are in high spirits. They have broken the endurance record for time spent in space. They are returning to Earth as legends. At 21:15 Moscow time, the crew fires the retro rockets. The braking burn is successful. Commander Dobrovolsky radios ground control. Retro fire completed. We are preparing to separate the orbital module. See you on the ground. These are the last words ever spoken by the crew of Soyuz 11. The separation. 21:16. The spacecraft is essentially three parts bolted together. To enter the atmosphere, it must shed its weight. Explosive bolts fired to separate the orbital module, the living quarters, and the service module, the engine, from the descent module, the capsule where the men are sitting. This is a standard procedure. It has been done dozens of times. The bolts explode. The ship separates. But this time, the shockwave from the explosion travels through the metal hull. It shakes a small pressure equalization valve located under the commander's seat. This valve is designed to open automatically at an altitude of 4 kilometers to let fresh air into the cabin before landing. But the shockwave jars it open. The spacecraft is not at 4 kilometers. It is at 168 kilometers. It is in the black vacuum of space. The leak. Inside the capsule, the air begins to scream. The atmosphere of the ship, the oxygen the men need to breathe, is being sucked out into the void through a hole no larger than a coin. The cabin pressure drops to 0 in 212 seconds. But the crew does not die instantly. The flight data recorder, the mirror device, later reveals the horror of those final seconds. At first, the men feel their ears pop. Then, the cabin fills with a white fog as the moisture in the air instantly condenses in the pressure drop. Commander Dobrovolsky realizes what is happening. He unbuckles his harness. He's fighting the G-forces of the spinning ship. He scrambles to find the leak. The noise of the escaping air is deafening. It is like a jet engine inside a closet. He finds the valve under his seat. He tries to close it with his hand, but the valve is not broken. It is simply open. There is a manual hand crank to close it, but it takes 30 seconds to turn. The silence. Because of the rapid decompression, the men begin to suffer from the bends instantly. Nitrogen bubbles form in their blood. Their vision blurs. Dobrovolsky's heart rate spikes. Then it stops. Within 45 seconds of the valve opening, all three men are unconscious. Within 90 seconds, their hearts cease to beat. The Soyuz 11 capsule is now a coffin falling through the ionosphere. Because the valve is open, the ship is technically exposed to space. The vacuum of the void is now inside the ship. The capsule enters the atmosphere. The heat shield glows red hot. The plasma builds up around the hull. Normally, the crew would be radioing their status. Ground control calls out, "Amber 1, do you read? Amber 1?" Static. Ground control assumes the plasma is blocking the radio waves. This is normal during re-entry. They wait for the parachutes to deploy. 21:53. The main parachute deploys. The soft landing engines fire. The Soyuz 11 capsule touches down gently in the steppes of Kazakhstan, perfectly on target. It looks like a textbook landing. The capsule is upright. The beacon is transmitting. The recovery helicopters land nearby. The ground crew rushes to the hatch. They are excited. They have brought champagne to celebrate the record-breaking flight. They knock on the side of the hull. There is no response from inside. The recovery leader opens the hatch. He looks inside. The three men are sitting in their couches. They look peaceful. They look like they are sleeping. There is no blood, there is no damage to the controls, but their skin is a dark, strange blue, and there is blood trickling from their ears and noses. The recovery team pulls them out. They are limp. Their bodies are still warm. Desperate to save them, the doctors begin CPR right there in the tall grass of Kazakhstan. They pump their chests. They try to force air into their lungs, but it is useless. The men have been dead for 30 minutes. They died before they even hit the atmosphere. The aftermath. The autopsy revealed the cause: decompression sickness and air embolism. The investigation found that the valve had been jarred open by the explosive bolts. But the true tragedy was the suits. In 1971, Soviet engineers believed their ships were safe. To save weight and space, they removed the requirement for cosmonauts to wear pressurized spacesuits during launch and re-entry. The crew of Soyuz 11 was wearing simple wool jumpsuits. If they had been wearing pressure suits, the open valve would have been harmless. They would have been sealed inside their helmets. They would have watched the gauge drop, closed the valve, and flown home safely. Because of Soyuz 11, no astronaut or cosmonaut has ever launched or landed without a full pressure suit since. The three men, Dobrovolsky, Volkov, and Patsayev, are the only humans to have officially died in outer space. They lie in the wall of the Kremlin, heroes of a frontier that shows no mercy for the smallest mechanical error. This has been the archive of the Soyuz 11 disaster. End of log.